Let's continue our work in the hands-on equation model. You'll see here for isolating variables, part A, we have both a blue and white pawn. So when we set this up, we have blue pawn plus 14, and we put a box around that. On the other side, star is white pawn, and then a 2. And this is our setup. Now, we've got one of these on each side. We've got to get rid of one of them. So let's go ahead. I'm going to add a white pawn to both sides. Remember, you use your arrow to show what you're adding. And I am going to add an equal number of pawns. When we do that, then we have to bring it down. Remember, we reset each row. And now at this point, what we want to do is remove a 0 pair. And so we're going to remove 0 pair. Yes, we have to keep writing. When you're doing a quiz or something, you're just given the equation and you have to go ahead and draw the rest of these, however many you need. And so we're going to reset. On the left, we have 14. On the right, we have 2 white pawns and a 2. And now at this point, we want to be able to take 2 away from both sides. And so we can, when we write this step, instead of writing this guy as a 14, we can separate him as a 4 as a 2 and call it simplify, or really we're unsimplifying, because what we want to do then is remove equal number cubes, and that gives us 12 on the left and 2 white pawns on the right. And that tells us then white pawn is equal to star is equal to opposite x is equal to 6. And then blue pawn, and there was a blue pawn in the original, is equal to x is equal to the opposite of that, which is negative 6. Now we do need to do our check, and remember for our checks we always go back to the very original. So it is x plus 14, so negative 6 plus 14 is equal to star plus 2, 6 plus 2, and that's our question mark. And so we get 8 equals 8. Our check number is 8. And yes, that is indeed true. If you would, please go ahead and pause the video. I'd like you to try the next one on your own and see how you do. And then hit play, and I'll show you the solution. This guy is somewhat more complicated. We've got 2 star, which is 2 white pawn, plus x, which is blue pawn, plus 1. And on the other side, we have 3 blue pawns and a 5. And this is the setup. Now we do have to reset before we do anything. And then we have to decide what it is we want to do. Now I always look to see which side has the larger number on it, and plan to keep my numbers on that side and have the pawns on the other side. And so to me that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an equal number of pawns to both sides. And what I'm going to add are 3 white pawns. And I want to add them because then on the right hand side, here on the left, I get these guys, and then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns left. And on the right side, I'm going to have this. Let me just verify I have everything I need. 3 blue, 3 white. Over here, 5 white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white and a blue. Wanted to make sure my left side was still good. And so now what I'm going to do is remove 0 pairs. When we do that, that then gives us a nice reduced on the left, 1, 2, 3, 4 white pawns and a 1, and on the right a 5. Now let's go ahead and split that up into a 1 and a 4. So here we're going to simplify or unsimplify. And then I'm going to take away, remove equal number of cubes. When we do that, what you get then on the left is 1, 2, 3, 4 white pawns, and on the right you get the number cube 4. And that tells us that white pawn, which is star, which is opposite x, is equal to 1, and blue pawn, which is equal to x, is the opposite of that, which is negative 1. Let's go ahead and do our check, and we have to go back up to the original again. So 2 star, which is 2 times 1, plus x plus a negative 1, plus 1, is that equal to 3x, 3 times negative 1, plus 5. And so on the left you get 2 minus 1 plus 1. On the right, minus 3 plus 5. So you get 2 is 2. Check number is 2, and it works. So the question you may be asking yourself is there more than one way to do this? And sure, there always is. And we've talked about always removing things first, but here, if I removed this 0 pair to start with here, then I'd have to add pawns and remove 0 pairs again. So do it twice. And so what you don't want to do is add extra steps. If you're going to remove 0 pairs, then you're going to go ahead and add whatever you have to do and then remove the 0 pairs all at one time. Okay, so let's now look at this one. The issue we have here, and we're going to have to add a convenient 0. We have 3 star, but we need to remove an x. We don't have an x, so we're going to have to add a convenient 0 in order to take that away. How that looks. We have 3 star. We need to remove an x, so we're going to add a blue pawn and white pawn. Remember, they are equivalent to each other. Sorry, I shouldn't fill that guy in. They're equivalent to each other, so that's really like adding a 0. And then I'm going to take away the x. And on the right, I have 12. So on the left-hand side, that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 white pawns. And on the right side, it gives me 12. That tells me that white pawn, which is star, which is opposite x, is equal to 3, and blue pawn, which is x, is equal to negative 3. I need to do my check, and we'll go back and talk about this again. 3 times 3 minus a negative 3, is that equal to 12? So 9 plus 3, 12 is equal to 12, and the answer is yes, and the check number is 12. So again, we have to take away an x, but we don't have an x. We only have 3 white pawns here. So we have to add this convenient 0 in order to take one away. Let's try that again. This time, we have 1 white pawn. We have to take 2 blue pawns away. We don't have them, so we're going to have to add 2 convenient 0s and then take the x's of those convenient 0s away. And then here, add 9 and an x plus 1. If you think you get what we're doing, go ahead and hit pause and do it on your own and come back and check. All right, so we have a white pawn. We need to take away 2x, so we have to take 2 of them away. We can't just add 2x, so we have to add convenient 0s. So we're going to add all of this. Then we're going to lasso those 2 x's and take them away. And we have a 9. You may want to immediately rewrite or reset so you don't forget what you're doing. And then on the right, we have a blue pawn and a 1. And that's the setup. And I don't think I wrote steps on the other one. Setup and then done. So now at this point, we've reset here. You have to decide what you want to get rid of. And for me, remember, I always keep the bigger number by itself. And so my goal would be to get rid of these pawns. To get rid of those pawns, I need to have 3 blue pawns. So I'm going to add 3 blue pawns to both sides. So I'm going to add an equal number of pawns. 1, 2, 3, and over here. So that gives me then, and now I have to reset. Sorry, those are looking like Star Trek communicator symbols. And over here, then what I'm going to do is remove a 0 pair and actually multiple. And when you remove those 0 pairs, then what you get on the left-hand side, and I'm going to go ahead and remember split this guy apart because I'm about to do something with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 1, and from here to here I'm going to simplify or unsimplify. And when I do that, then what I want to do is remove these 1 cube. So I'm going to remove an equal number of cubes. And that gives me on the left an 8, and on the right 1, 2, 3, 4 blue pawns. Those 4 blue pawns tell me that a blue pawn, which is x, is equal to 2. And the white pawn, because I had a white pawn to start with, is star is opposite x is negative 2. Then I have to do my check. When I do my check, I have star, which is negative 2, minus 2x times 2 plus 9 is equal to x, which is 2 plus 1. Is that equal to each other? So you get negative 2 minus 4 plus 9. Is that 3? Yes, 3 is 3. Check number is 3, and that works. And so now what happens as they're going forward is students are going to start seeing negative x instead of star. So we're trying to get them used to this idea of the opposite value and soon getting ready to kick this system to the curb as well. And so for us, when we see this value, sorry, that is crooked. When we see that value here, instead of star, we say negative x because they've known star as being opposite of x. And let's go ahead. 4 times negative x, or 4 of the white pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's this piece. Then it's saying take 2 away. So we take 2 of them, take them away. Plus 2 is equal to 9. Plus negative x, which is white pawn. And this, sorry, that's a typo. Get rid of that guy. And so now that's our setup. Sorry, the 12 threw me off. So let's go ahead and reset. White pawn 2, 9, white pawn. Well, this is actually a fairly simplified problem for us, given what else we've done in the past. Let's take 1 pawn away from each side. So it's remove equal number of pawns. Go ahead and reset. And over here with the 9, let's make that a 7 and a 2. We're going to simplify, unsimplify, simplify. So that we can remove these 2's. Remove equal number of cubes. And that gives us then on the left, white pawn, and on the right, we get 7. That's telling us that white pawn is star, which is opposite x, and that is 7. And then blue pawn, which is x, which is the opposite of that, is negative 7. And you can go ahead now at this point and don't forget to do your check. I'm going to let you do that on your own. For b, go ahead and try b on your own, hit pause, and then come back and hear the solution. We start with 3x, so that's 3 blue pawn, 1, 2, 3, plus 2 negative x, that's 2 white pawn, plus 1 is equal to 2 negative x, which is 2 white pawns, plus 7. That's our setup. And at this point, we can, oh, sorry, need to reset. 1, 2, 3 blue pawns, 1, 2 white pawns, and a 1, 1, 2 white pawns, and a 7. Let's go ahead and remove those 2 white pawns from both sides. Remove an equal number of pawns. When you do that on the left, you get 1, 2, 3 blue pawns, and a 1. And on the right, you have 7. Let's go ahead and pull that apart to simplify and unsimplify that. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to pull an equal number of cubes from both sides. And that then gives us 1, 2, 3 blue pawns is equal to 6. 3 blue pawns equal to 6 tells you that blue pawn, which is equal to x, is 2. White pawn, which is star, which is opposite x, is negative 2. You can do your check. I'm going to leave that up to you. The check number is 3. So we've gone ahead and done these white pawns, and we've been working with them by drawing them instead of waiting until now. And the next thing we do in this system is to introduce the green cube. And we know that 3 and negative 3 are shown as 3 is a box, negative 3 is a circle, and there's no negative sign. It's just circle. And together, they have a value of 0. And so for us, 4 and 4 is really saying 4 plus negative 4, and that is 0. 17 and 17 add to 0. And so this is where we use the green cubes for the, and I'll just circle them so you can see when you're using your model, you're going to use the green cubes for those. So that's it.